guy is Georgie, and I went ahead and did another boy. I have a few sculpts that I think make good boys in my set of dolls that I had started in 2016 that are already primed and painted. So I'm gonna go ahead and get me some boys made. Now on this little guy, I had to make his hat from just made it up and sewed it by hand. But his outfit, other than the shirt, I made his shirt as well. That was actually made it for another doll, another boy doll, but I swapped it out. I mean, I ended up putting a different shirt on that boy. That was Bennett, and because I wanted a different kind of collar. And so I gave him the shirt, and it fit him around the neck better as well. Even though I covered it with a bow, I kind of wanted him to have, he's kind of a street urchin, but a little bit like Artful Dodger, you know, the big bow on him and stuff like that. So his outfit actually came from a hobo clown, his pants and his jacket. And I replaced the little stitches that were on it, and I actually took some off and left them off so it'd be more scuffed up. And I actually sewed them on versus glue. I had all that glue. There he is. So I left some of it rough, and I replaced a couple with the gray because I didn't want the real colorful stuff. I wanted to keep it really muted. So some orange pants you got on, dude. But I just think it worked out because he needed a little color on there anyway. I loved the outfit, but I did not love it for a clown because I prefer the circus clowns. And didn't that just look precious on him? He is really nice because he does have the bendable arms. He's a little bit shorter than the typical, he's one of the dolls, probably about a 16.5-inch doll. One thing about him, I kind of did what I did on Gypsy. This is funny because he's Georgie and she's Gypsy. Little G's. But I gave him some teeth. They don't look as overbite. They kind of are a little bit of an overbite, but he looks a little bit, I don't know, a little more worried. I'd say more worried than scared, but he's got that little worried look about him. Now he's got some super hair. It's so sweet and soft, and it was these certain pieces of hair that was already straight, and I couldn't wait to use because it's like baby fine. But one of the problems with using hair this thin is you get a lot of pelt showing. I always intended for him to have a hat anyway. I did try gluing some more hair on there, and it did not work. It was a mess. So you can fix his hair up, but he is intended to wear a hat to cover up his little thin area right there. So I did have to trim some of his little curls off because it was a little on the long side. So some of his hair will still take a curl. I didn't really cut the bangs area. There's like a little piece right here that I left pretty much like it came off, like I got it. But I did have to trim up around the edges. So he's got the little cut that I like, little wedge cut I love to give my boys. Anyway, I'm sorry, the hat is actually from a vintage coat. It is camel, and the coat I had was, no, that's just a spot. Has some spots on it just because it's from an old camel type coat. I don't know if it's real cashmere, but you know what I mean. It's that kind of color and weave. But it's wool because the actual coat had moth holes in it, so little moth worms had eaten holes in it. But I saved some of the good fabric of the coat and put it with my stash. And I just love that color on him. I think it just, and I think that wool kind of fit with his whole outfit anyway. Let me fix his hat. There you go, dude. All right, so one thing about it is I like to keep that bill kind of tucked in like that. Okay. So there you see he's got a little spider on his shoulder. I kind of tucked it up under the collar. Now one thing about this collar, it was like standing out. The coat was made terribly. And so I stitched the lapel down more so that it just looks a lot neater this way. Kind of pulled it around forward more. This was actually tied around, I think, the clown's waist to hold his pants up. Now, his pants are sewn on his body. They're gathered up and sewn on, so I can't really pull up. But knock him over. So the buttons came out of my little, vintage and other button jar that I have. And all of them did. These are precious. Oh, by the way, these were on a card, and I pulled them off anyway. It's so hard for me to find teeny tiny buttons, so I found these, just 3 buttons. That's why it's covered up right there. And then on the back, I had to trim his coat because it was super long. So I trimmed about 1 inch off. Well, not even. Yeah, that's about 1 inch. So I trimmed that off. It was all worn out anyway. So I trimmed it off, and I had just, for the scraps, also for the patches. I also did this around his wrist, and I'll talk about that in a minute. but I made him like a little back belt just because I had extra buttons and I had extra swatch, and that's what I do. I'm like, how can I use this? So what I did, and why I cut about 1 inch off, I wanted the cuff. Now how they cut these things for these clowns, they just cut, just slits, and they look really, kind of, I don't know, goofy, I guess. So I gathered them together, and you can still see the holes, sort of, because I wanted that really good wear. I could have brought it up longer, or, made it shorter, done it so that it maybe hid more, but I wanted his sleeves as long as I could make them, so I did include part of where it's cut right here, so it looks a little bit more ratty. And then I just, tucked it in and made my little, don't look at it real close. I'm not that great of a seamstress. Not by hand, that's for sure. And I just left the ends raw. And they were raw to begin with anyway. And I don't know why it's got this, I think it was glued together there. And there may be some glue residue on here. I think that's what that is. But anyway, he's got a little rough looking coat on, really big coat. And I did say his arms are bendable, right? He's got the wire in his arms. So let me hold him up to the light better. But I think, oh, he's so cute. And he's got 2 green eyes, unlike Gypsy, who has a green eye and a blue eye. But they actually look a lot alike. So I'm not sure that they were the same mold. They may be the same mold. When I put them together, I'll be able to tell better. But typically, this doll has a really pug nose. So I worked and worked and worked to make it a little less turned up looking. And if you were to see the original, oh, it's just, I can't stand this nose. So I had to really draw it out to make it a cute nose, because it looks like a little pig nose if you don't. And he has little dimples, and he's got his little blush. And he's got this, oh, super worried look on your face. Come here, dude. Let's get this look. Look at his little eyebrows. So expressive. And that is a key when I'm working with all these dolls that have the same sculpt. I have to come up with different expressions. And the fact that you can make so many cute expressions. Now, I know a lot of people are doing these dolls in different ways. Some like to make them gory. Some like to make them really simple. But for me, what's important, I do like to have mine look very drawn, like a charcoal drawing and some pastels on it, is that I always make my babies look as different as I possibly can. So that's going to fall over if you do that. Okay, so my apologies for the bad sound effects. I'm right under an air vent. My boy, I failed to mention, is a sitter. I mean, his little, I think, Theodore is a sitter as well. So his body is built where it sits down easily. So there's my, I think she is too. I don't remember now. Let me check her out. Let me see. I wouldn't sit her down because of her dress, but yeah, she is. She could also have been sat down, but it's gonna, her dress will poof out. And I don't know if it's gonna work very well. She stands better, but he definitely can sit. But it does make his coat all kind of crumpled up. But I did want to show that in case someone needed, just to do something different with him. There he is with the girls. Anyway, so that's my little Georgie, my poor little Georgie. And my little street urchin. Instead of orphans, this is one of my street urchins. And he just didn't, my little ghost child. So he's still considered a Gothic guy. He's just inspired by street urchins. And his hat's really big, which is, to me, is like oversized hat, which kind of goes with oversized coat and kind of oversized pants. Anyway, what a cutie.